So I first decided to foster out of like sort of a season of wrestling with God. I had been doing work in China for almost 2 decades, going back and forth and even living there at certain times. And I was planning to adopt from China. International adoptions are expensive, $35,000, $40,000. And I was willing to do that. Even if I didn't have the means, I was like, I'll fundraise or do whatever. And I was planning to go back in 2020. And then COVID hit China. And I think in my wrestling with God about those plans not working out, he sort of started convicting me that there were not just children in China that needed help, but there were probably children right here in Chicago in my own backyard that might need some love as well. I just started doing some research. I started taking the classes and got my license. And then I got a call for a little boy in January. And then I actually said no. He had some feeding challenges at the time, and they were maybe going to send him home with an NG tube. And in the NICU, I work with infants who have feeding problems. And so my coworkers, they're like, April, why did you say no? If anybody can handle this with a feeding problem, you can do it. And so I remember I called back like an hour later and said, okay, I'm going to change my no to a yes. And he said, great, how soon can you be at the hospital? So I left work. I bought an outfit because it was a cold January day. And I went to Lurie's and met him for the first time. I initially thought I'll just give him back to his mom in 3 months and she'll do what she needs to do to get him back. And in my naivety, I think I even thought like, oh, maybe I can even share Jesus with her. There'll be this like nice, happy ending. There'll be a bow and I'll go back to China and do the things that I was hoping to do. 3 months came and went, 6 months, 9 months, and it became very clear that I wasn't going to be giving him back. I had a unique relationship with his birth mom. She was allowed to see him 2 or 3 times a week. The very beginning, it was in my brain, like, oh, I want to show Jesus to her. It was challenging to, I think, always have the lens of like looking at her through Christ, how he would. And I realized she had a lot of anger, but she was always grateful for me. I think she realized in my love for Elijah, she just saw that I really cared about him and I wanted the best for him. So she chose to sign her rights over, not just generically over, but like specifically to me. And I remember such a humbling feeling for her to do that. He was with me starting at 8 weeks, and then I just adopted him this past January, so I had had him for just over 4 years as a foster child. My hope is that he knows Jesus and knows that God has a good plan for him. I know that sounds sort of like generic, but I think as a single parent, one of my wrestles was, I am a single parent. I don't have a husband. Is there going to be male role models for him? And I think in my own insecurities of asking if I'm going to be enough for him, I think it always comes back to like, well, I don't have to be. I just need to introduce him to Jesus and God, and they will be enough for him. I still have a relationship with his birth mom. In the summer, we see her a lot more often because the weather's nice and there's a park near her home. She's been teaching him how to fly a kite, which it's really fun. And I have these amazing videos of them like flying kites together. And I don't exactly know what that means for his future, but I hope that it's worth this relationship that we've built. I think obviously I've learned like Elijah's now my first priority, but I do know that God has given me this huge heart for missions, and so I think I would love to introduce him to that. And if God would work it out that we could continue to be involved on a regular basis, that would be amazing. But I think I'm also surrendered to maybe we'll go once and that will sort of like wrap up that season of my life, and that's okay too.